Introducing Minor Wisdom Quintet.
1, 2, a skidoo-doo-doo.
Minor Wisdom.
Another week away. Nothing big happened this week at all. Nothing of importance. So, we'll move on. So this week I have Jackie Kana. She said it's like Kanye, like Kanye West, but like Kanye with an A. So anyway, Jackie Kanya's on this week. She is somebody that I kind of, every once in a while, what I'll do is I'll hit up the Facebook, as the kids say, and I look at people. It's kind of creepy. I shouldn't be exposing my secrets, but I look up people that I would just like to interview and that I would just like to get to know in some form or fashion, just because either they've been around for a long time and I've never talked to them, they are new to the business and I'd like to kind of just maybe help them out, or they're like a Jackie Kanya who I've seen in kind of the world of high school theater, but I never really knew her. And so I reached out to her and she was extremely excited to, well, I don't know if she was excited. She was very responsive. Jackie, if you're listening to this, you can let me know if you are excited, but she was very responsive and very willing to come onto the podcast, and I was very happy to have her on. So got to know Jackie a little bit. I don't think I've ever actually met Jackie face to face. So at some point, I know TXETA is face to face this year, not only at Summerfest in Plano, but with Galveston as well. So that should be fun. And I'll maybe meet Jackie. Hey, Jackie. Hey, girl. And then Thespians, we've got professional development. As I record this, today is Saturday, May 1st. And so as I record this, the early bird pricing is no longer available. But that shouldn't stop you from signing up for the Texas Thespians professional development. I've been helping Mandy Tapia put that together this year. It's been fun. It's been fun because we're sitting around thinking who would be the best people in each city to kind of not only just represent the city, but also be a good workshop artist for youth, for theater teachers, theater educators. So in Houston, which is not too far away. The date-wise, obviously it's not far away from me, but the date is not too far away. Coming up in June 26th in Houston, we've got Julio Morales, who is kind of my HISD boyfriend, but that would offend Steward. So I guess I'm cheating on Julio with Stu. I don't know. Anyway, but we've got Julio Morales, and he's going to lead a workshop on how to get involved in the community. And it's not just he's at a Title I school, and yes, it's absolutely amazing what he is doing at that school, especially being that that's the school I was zoned to, and I know all too well. I just adjusted the mic, so I apologize if it sounds different. But I know that community. I know the school, I know everything very well. And so I'm just so happy to see Julio working in that community and making it such a better place. But he's not just going to talk about how to do that at Title I. He's going to talk about how to do that anywhere. You just literally get out and clean gutters. I mean, that's literally what he does. And I should say literally a couple more times. And then we have Crystal Smith from Kempner High School in my hood in Fort Bend, soon to be my future hood. Awkward. Anyway, but Crystal, as I record this, could be finding out her fate in State One-Act Play. It's their first soiree with State One-Act Play, Kempner High School, and so she could be finding that out now. But she's going to lead a student stage manager workshop. And then Rena Cook, who is kind of legendary in the world of workshops and is a director and a voice actor and working with vocal work. So she's going to come in and talk about being a directing rock star. And then my personal favorite for the Houston one, again, June 26th, it's actually not in Houston. It's in Humble, which we don't say humble at Atascocita High School, but which is like an hour and a half from where I currently live, but whatever. But my bestest good friend in the whole wide world, Julia Crone, is going to be the Friday night spotlight speaker, and so that's going to be a lot of fun. She is just one of the most delightful human beings in the entire world. Comes from royalty, Houston acting royalty with Charles and Chesley Crone. Then moving on to FWAFA, Fort Worth Academy of Fine Arts, and that is July 10th. So I'll be there as well. But we've got Carolyn Reese, Myers McCormick from Katy Conservatory. Amy Jordan's going to be there. You might have heard of her. BK Goodman, you might have heard of him. We will have just a really good time with that. Haven't figured out our Friday night speaker for that, but it should be a lot of fun. And then the Piece de Resistance, Cheryl Painter is going to be in Austin or at Bastrop at the Jerry Fay Wilhelm Center, which is the performing arts center there in Bastrop ISD. And Cheryl was just announced as, or not announced, but just became the K through 12 representative for TXCTA or chair, whatever they call it. And then this is crazy, but Mark Seraph is going to be our Friday night virtual speaker, and he's born and raised in Austin, Texas. One of the founders of AOL, You've Got Mail, is a producer on Broadway. He has a Tony Award, and Mark was, because my father has since passed, Mark was my dad's best friend. Growing up, they were the closest of friends. So Mark has known me since I literally was just a dirty old wee little lad. And so just kind of fun. I did not set up the interview with Mark or the chat with Mark. And so that was just kind of fun when Mandy said, "Do you know Mark Seraph?" Yeah. So anyway, Jew's gonna Jew. So it was really cool to know that he agreed to do this. And I have since talked to Mark kind of about this and about one of the things, one of his websites that he's kind of working on and things like that. So it's a lot of fun. I really hope to see a lot of you at PD. No, I'm not getting anything for this. I just want to see people. It's just one of those things. I want you to be in person, and I want to see you face to face, and I want to hang out and know how you're doing. Everything is offered online as well. You can Zoom it in. But it would just be cool, if you're vaccinated, don't talk to me if you're not, but if you're vaccinated, you can come say hi. But I'll be at all three, and I'm really excited about it. Won't be at Summerfest, but I will be at TXCTA in Galveston. So all that stuff's coming up. All the while, my wife and I are trying to move. We're going to try to move up to the Woodlands, so we're trying to pack up the house, get it staged for pictures. Also this week, not that anybody cares, but I'm doing two musicals this week open. This will open this week. Oh, Yoda. So I've got two musicals opening this week. One at my school, Your Good Man Charlie Brown, you probably have heard of it. And then one up in the aforementioned Woodlands, Moana. And both are one acts, both are short, but I'm opening both of them. And I don't know why I signed up for this, but I just am. I don't normally do this. I've only ever done two musicals in 1 week, one other time, and they were both West Side Story. But that was one in Cincinnati and one here in Houston the same week. Don't ever do that. I don't recommend that. Anyway, Jackie, thanks for letting me banter and talk. Make sure you follow me on the Twitter at Mr. Blake Mina. You can friend me on Facebook, which I've had a lot of people do that. That's really awesome. I appreciate you. And make sure you leave a review on iTunes, Spotify, whatever. Enjoy this week's interview.
I'm from Sealy, Texas. I'm a coach's kid, so we moved around a whole lot, but for the majority of my grade school, I was in Sealy. So I got taught by Beth Abel in junior high, which was really fun, and then moved up into high school with Aaron Moore, who's still over there. And I think that this entire education journey kind of spawned from them. I didn't have the easiest time in school because Dad was an athletic director at the junior high. And then my mom was my math teacher. And my uncle was my superintendent and my principal for a while. So I can't get away with anything, nor did I really want to. But I started off in athletics because of my dad, and I enjoyed some of it. But I started doing theater with Beth, and I kind of noticed that I liked that a whole lot more. So at some point in time, I had a schedule change, and I couldn't do both athletics and theater. So my dad was the one to ask me, which was a lovely conversation over spring break, not spring break, Christmas break. And I was just like, Dad, I just really want to be in musicals. So I think I'm going to stick with this. I'm way better at this. So I'm the only one out of 3 sisters and really the entire family that does theater. And then I did it all throughout high school, all 4 years of one-act play, musicals, fall shows, you name it. I was in it, whether it be crew or on stage. So it was a really fun experience. I got to go to state. I was a part of the 2010 one-act play team for Sealy, who took Warrior all the way to state. I'm super proud of that. And then we did Bourgeois Gentleman the next year over, which was really fun. Then we moved over to Birdsong, which was a new show. It got adapted by BBC that same year, and they released their like series on it. So that was really fun to watch. And then my senior year, we did Stoneface, which is a story about Buster Keaton and his life, and they're redoing it this year. So I went to college. I went to Blinn. So I was underneath Brad Neese and Kevin and Jennifer Patrick. And I kind of owe them a lot of what I know now, like my sewing skills and my scenic painting and stagecraft galore. Like it all came from them. And then I obviously transferred into A&M that had a dying program, which is probably not the program that I should have gone into, but I'm a second generation Aggie. And I don't know, I just felt really passionate about going there regardless of the situation that they were under. And I almost felt like I needed to be there. So I did it, and we still did shows. They don't do them anymore. The department has completely gone over to performance studies, which was a huge deal when I was in school. Nobody agreed with it. Some of the professors didn't. We obviously didn't. The music kids who had their music major taken away too, and like got blended into ours like it was the same thing. We were all angry. But I think that it made us stronger artists. And I think that we ended up finding places to kind of use our skills and perfect our craft. So I ended up going to a friend of mine, Andrew Robler, who's now in Houston, but he was based out of Bryan, and he still does some shows with the Bryan Theater Company over there. I think he's still on the board. But he really helped with that transition of going from performance studies from the theater major, because it took a lot of our opportunities away, and we didn't get to perform in Rudder anymore. We got pushed into our black box theater that was in our liberal arts building, which was still a fun space. And I don't knock it at all. I think it was fun for the shows that we did, and we made it work. But we got kicked out of Rudder. And then it kind of, became very minimal what we got to do. So it was only 1 show a semester, which is very weird for a university. And so we did that. But Andrew started an intern company within his theater company that he built himself called This Is Water. And I met a lot of the people who I, now still work with or consult with or, call up for a daily chat. Through that company, and that's where I got my directing start. We did These Shiny Limes, which I want to revive someday, and I know everybody says it's overdone, but I love it. Like I'm a history nut, so I love all that stuff. But I got a lot of my directing skills from him, and of course Aaron and Beth. They're phenomenal. I'm like really floored watching them from a student's perspective, and now we all talk in a group chat. I still talk to them every day. I just saw her contest manage for a 3A contest this past weekend, but we're all like growing together, and I think that that's really fabulous to see. But I got my start there with him, and I started teaching the year after, and so I've been teaching when I play and theater ever since. So I am a product of UIL One Act Play. That's what my directors like to say.
Yeah. That's fun. So what about other shows in high school? Like, as far as like fall shows, musicals, all that kind of stuff, were those things you took part in?
Yeah, Erin did 3 shows a year. I think she still does.
Okay.
She just finished out Little Shop before she started One Act, so that was fun. But my freshman year, we did Grease.
Okay.
And I was just a course member. I say just, but like I tell my kids the same thing. No, there's no
Yeah.
such thing as a small part. But it was fun, and it really got me into her program. And I had seen shows before from her.
Yeah.
Little Shop was actually the show that got me into her program. I went and saw it with my older sister who had friends in the department, and I was like, yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. That looks like fun. So really that's the show that got me in. And so then I started doing musicals and the fall shows, and here I think we did, oh no, I know this. I like talk about it all the time. Curtis says that I have way too much information of theater in my brain. Like I can ramble about state contests that I wasn't even a part of. Oh, dang.
It's kind of, yeah.
Oh, Lend Me a Tenor. It was Lend Me a Tenor.
Okay.
So we did Lend Me a Tenor. She normally likes to do a 2-story set comedy or a big farce comedy.
Sure.
So we did Lend Me a Tenor in Grease and Warrior that year. And then moved over into sophomore year. We did Going Straight, and we did All Shook Up. And Sealy doesn't have a lot of ethnic diversity.
Sure.
So we the poor versus rich scenario in that show. And that was probably my first lead because I got Sylvia, and that was fun. It was a real confidence booster. Yeah. And then I did crew for Going Straight, which was our adaptation of Oscar, the movie with Sylvester Stallone. And then junior year we did Birdsong. I was in Hairspray. I ended up being Tracy, so another confidence booster. And then we did Leading Ladies, and I decided to do crew for that.
Okay.
And senior year, we did Back to the 80s, and I was the lead in that. And then we did Noises Off, and I was Dottie. It was like the first fall show that I wasn't doing crew for. And then we did Stoneface, which was quite possibly, I think that year was quite possibly my favorite year of shows. Not for any particular like role that I got or whatever have you. It just seemed like the stories were probably the funnest to put on for the community. So
are there any like tradition, high schools all have their own special traditions. Are there any traditions that you as a student took to when you became a teacher? Like that you kind of yeah. Are there?
I probably look like I'm like copy my director, but the best thing about Erin's department
that's a compliment though, right? That's I
think so. Yeah. And I still wear the charms that she gave us. So during one act play season, she would buy these little charms, and an alternate or like a freshman or sophomore or whatever have you would have the opportunity to know what it was before everybody else knew what it was.
Okay.
So we got these like ball chain necklaces, and every time we advanced, we got a charm that pertained to the show.
Wow.
So I did carry that with me. This one's the only year that I haven't done it or not with my high school anyway. I did do it with my junior high kids because I teach both. I've been teaching both for my entire career. But I did it with them. But for Needville, they have it's kind of like the same thing, but it's a pin. So during award ceremonies, we find these pins that portray or are connected to our story. And so this year we're doing Hiding in the Open, which is about 2 Jewish sisters who, hide in the dead of Germany during the war and portray themselves as Polish Catholics. Yeah. And so we ended up getting the Stars of David as pins. So we'll wear that for this next round because we get an award ceremony this round. So we'll do that. But yeah, I did carry that with me. And then while I was teaching on my own at Lexington and at Ingram, I did a gypsy robe.
Okay.
So we did that. And that was voted on by the cast and the crew of when you look back at the show, who will you remember the most or who will come to your mind?
Sure.
So they voted on that, and the 2 runner-ups got to put the gypsy robe and the piece of whatever from the show onto the robe. So I did take that. Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, and we did a circle at the end of each show. So we sit on the stage, we put blue lights. It looks very culty. It's not. One of the parents accidentally walked in on it one time, and I was like, it's not. I swear, I'm
not
Catholic.
What you think it
I
is.
swear, I'm not conjuring demons.
Yeah.
But we just sit and we talk about, we go around the circle and we say the 2 or 3 people that we met through this journey that we wouldn't have become friends with had we not done it, which I think is super important for the kids.
Right. That's
And
kind of
then
fun.
we go all around and we talk about our favorite memory from the process. And sometimes I learn things as a director and I'm like, when did you do that? That was not. And they were like, you can't kill me now because it's over with. And I was like, no, but I am going to keep
Yeah.
it super close. So, but we do that. And gosh, I mean, I'm sure there are so many more. I make binders for the kids.
Okay.
Erin is very crafty. And every year, and I still have them somewhere in a box, I'm sure, but I have all of my one act play scripts and she would Cricut the cover page and the side on the binder and put our names on it and the show name and decorate it. And so everybody had the same binder. So I started doing that for my kids. And this year I bought a Cricut, so I can actually do it. I've just been printing off pages that I make on Canva. So, but this year I did make them. And so I don't know. I think a lot of her traditions and even with the environment that she built is the same environment that I want for my kids wherever I go. And I haven't stayed super long at any school yet. I'm hoping that this one is
right.
It because I don't like moving and I like the kids that I have. And it was very difficult for me to leave my last school during the pandemic. But those I think the traditions make it just that much more approachable.
So you mentioned off air that the two schools you came from were Title I. What has been kind of the biggest challenge? Because some people are like born and bred to teach at Title I schools, and like that's kind of what they feed off of, that energy, and you know, some of those kids come to school very literally and figuratively very hungry. What is it that you have missed from teaching at those schools?
Well, this last school, I just came from Ingram ISD, which is over in the Kerrville area, Kerr County. And I guess I miss, and Needville has this too, but there is a huge sense of camaraderie win or lose. Those kids for a while hadn't known what it felt like to win. And Needville has a reputation, and I love that Needville has a reputation of winning and advancing and, you know, having a high quality of work. But both school districts that I worked for, both Ingram and Lexington, had been like kind of the underdogs for a while. But I think that being the underdogs and being the ones that nobody's like, oh, we're not worried about them. Like, I mean, even when I got the job at Lexington, I was like, where's Lexington? I have no idea where that is. It's literally a blink as you're driving on Highway 77. You don't even, there's like hardly any town. But I think that the camaraderie and the way that they really just, they have each other's backs in every single, you know, aspect of their lives. And even if I never knew certain things that happened, whether it be at home or outside of, they were always really willing to come and tell me so that I knew. And I kind of let the kids come to me, because sometimes with Title I kids, and I'm sure you know this, but it's hard to listen to what happens at home. And then you know, if you have to report it and go through the entire process. And I've had to do that before, unfortunately. And it's hard because you sit in a position where you can't do it. Like, you have no idea how many times I've wanted to like go after a parent after what I've heard, but then, you know, you have to put it into consideration. Is it really true, or is it over exaggerated? Or it's, you know, it's he said, she said, and you've never seen it. So how do you know? Right. I think the camaraderie of it all, and regardless of what's happening at home, they never brought it into rehearsals. I hardly ever knew sometimes until one kid was like, hey, he was having a really difficult day. And I think that this is kind of going on, and I just want to let you know, so you're not as angry when it comes in your attitude, you know? And so I had that. I had one kid that was my kid at my last school, and I didn't know that he was like my kid until another coach who had him in classes and in sports and stuff like that came up to me when they figured out I was leaving. And he said, I'm worried about so-and-so because that's your kid. And I was like, I mean, I never really
Yeah.
thought about it. He said, he constantly talks to you. He doesn't talk to me. And I have him for just about the same amount of time,
Right.
if not more. And he constantly wants to come to you.
Right.
So I think the camaraderie and the family aspect that we had was probably my favorite.
Sure. So speaking of camaraderie, this is a great segue. It's like you're looking at my list of questions. But
Thanks, Craig.
so the Aggie world, right? My sister went to A&M. My dad was a Longhorn, so it was really we had even my
How
sister
divided.
yeah my sister also married a Longhorn, so they have that flag outside of their house that exactly it says that like house divided or something, but it has both logos on it. So did you drink the Aggie Kool-Aid? Like did you go to football games?
I am not a 2%er.
Okay.
I went to every single football game. I bought a student pass, so I went to football games. I had a friend that pitched for the softball team for several years that I had met at a camp before I had transferred in. And so I went to those. I went to soccer games. Baseball is my favorite. I love baseball. I could watch it all day.
Aggie, no offense, but Aggie baseball is so annoying. It's just I used to work at Minute Maid Park, and we have the College Classic every year. And every year I would work
Bubbles.
it. Oh my gosh. And just so many, like every pitch, there's a new chant or,
Oh yeah.
when the catcher of the opposing team
throwing balls, you wouldn't have to yell at them. That's all I gotta say about that.
My favorite was the catcher going out of the opposing team to talk to the pitcher, and they would like say like slap his ass or something like that, or pat his, oh my gosh, it was just every little thing had something. Aggie baseball.
It did. And when I brought my parents, because my parents both went to A&M, one time I brought all of them to a baseball game. I was like, it's so much fun, you're gonna love it. And because there's these new chants, and I'm sure it's not the same as when they were in school back in the day. And she was like, my mom looked at me and she was like, every single chant, and I don't know anything of what is happening right now, but I'm so glad you're enjoying yourself. But it could probably be annoying. I could see
there's
that.
scenario chants. It's impressive because there's scenario chants. It's like you chant this when this is going on or when this is happening. So it's not like just like charge, like it's not.
No, no, and it changes for every year. So like when we get new team members, then they get their own chants and they have their own signal.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Well, I'm glad you drank it. My sister drank it too. She dated for a very long time. She dated a core.
I knew you were gonna say it.
So
I can't bring myself to it.
It's just crazy. I went to UH, and a lot of people in our industry in Texas at least went to UH and like Texas State and stuff. And those types of things sort of exist. There are a couple of traditional things that exist at certain sporting events, but not like Aggies, man. Nothing like the Aggies. What did you dunk your ring in? I'm interested.
Oh, okay. So as the kids say, here's the tea. So I never did. Because the real tradition is that you go to the chicken and you order a pitcher with a friend, and you sit and you sip on that pitcher until the pitcher's gone, and you take the last sip and put it in your mouth. That is what I've been told anyway. So I didn't do the full ring dunk because I don't hate my body. And I went to the chicken and we played 42 dominoes and hung out and talked about everything that's happened for the past couple of years and enjoyed each other's company, and that was it.
Okay. But
it was a shiner. It was a shiner buck.
Right. So you did most of the tradition then. I mean, the chicken part is, you don't just go to like Fridays and get a drink. It's, right.
No, no, definitely the chicken. Always the chicken.
Yeah.
So
I hope there are people out there that have no idea what you're talking about. There probably are.
Well, or they'll call me crazy, whichever one. I've gotten both.
Yeah, I mean, it has nothing to do with the Aggie part, but yeah.
Exactly.
So do you think that program will ever come back, the theater program, like in a more traditional sense? Do you think it'll ever kind of manifest itself into a theater program?
I plan on marrying rich and just putting it back myself. Honestly,
okay.
No.
Okay.
I think that it will. I think the university is forever changing. I'd say a couple years back, but like almost a decade ago, they took away the journalism major. So that was gone, and now it's back. Yeah. And it took several years It took several votes, but it finally came back. So I don't think that it's dead forever. And I hope not, because I love my major just as much as I loved my school.
Right.
But I'll tell you the truth that when they call me, the former association team calls me and says, "Would you like to make a donation?" I said, "I'll make a donation when you bring my major back. That's what I will do."
Yeah, that's good.
And they're usually very quiet.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the last girl that I talked to, because she was like, "Oh, I didn't know." I said, "Oh, girl, I'm not saying it at you. I'm just sure that this call is recorded, and I just want people to know."
Don't shoot the
But
messenger.
I think so. I hope so. I mean, it's hard. It's hard when my kids, and I had two this past year. One's going to comm with HRS, and the other is going to blend with Bradley Neist, and I'm super proud of them. They did auditions and stuff like that, and it's hard for me to not be like, "I want you to go to my alma mater." Curtis can say that because Curtis went to Texas State, and I don't have that luxury. I mean, they could do performance studies if that's what they wanted, but neither. They're both huge performers, so I couldn't see it any other way. But it's hard. It's hard to say that I went there, and then people kind of cock their heads and they're like, "Are you for real? I didn't know that they had a program." I'm like, "Well, they don't anymore." But here we are. Got my diploma up on the wall and everything. Says theater, not performance studies. So.
Yeah, and Texas State's on the up and up. It's been on the up and up, I guess, for a while. So, Curtis does have that to hold his hat on. So
he does, and he's very skilled. Like I think that there's a lot of things that like he can do that I cannot. That I'm just kind of in awe in. Not that I didn't learn them, but I'm just not good at it. Right. And me and flips. Like I sewed an entire costume for our show because I couldn't find what I liked.
Right.
And he just sat there and was like, "Yeah, no, I'm just going to leave you to do your thing."
So how do you guys have that split? Like, what do you, because you're both directors, but you also both have your own technical design skills as well. What is kind of that marriage look like?
Oh, don't tell him that, because I told him that he should just marry me since we're just so in love, and he told me no. Okay. So it's fine. I'm just, crying in the background. No, I think that when I interviewed for Needville, of course they asked me, and everybody else was impressed, and Chris kind of had already known because we've known each other for years. But through this past year, it's not even like we have a difference in. I mean, like he does lights way better than I, and sound we kind of share because I can layer things and so can he, and he can find song pieces and so can I, and it's just a shared thing of whenever each one of us has time, because I teach over at the junior high and the middle school, which is the 6th grade, and I do a production class over at the junior high. So I was in the middle of one act play for basically the entire last semester, and then into January where we competed at industrial. So even into the one act play season for high school, I was pretty like overthrown. And so we just kind of share. I mean, and when I had talked to Curtis about coming to Needville and applying for the job, I was like, the only thing I'm scared of is me becoming an assistant and just doing lackey work or, running to shoot coffee or whatever. I was like, I don't want it to become that, because I'm so used to being in charge and making the decisions. And so it's going to be a hard switch for me to be an assistant in a pair like that. It's going to be a big change. It was already a big change coming back into the area from Ingram. So, but he said, "Jackie, you're not my assistant. You are my co-director. I'm not higher than you. It might look like that on paper, but in our space and how we work, that's not how it is." So really the only difference between me and him is that I can sew. That's pretty much it. We basically have all the same training and skills, and sometimes he just does things better than I. But sewing is probably the only one that he was like, if you showed me a pattern, I would start crying. And I was like, that's fair. I'm pretty sure I did that. Go ask Jennifer.
Yeah, the cutter draper world is not easy. Yeah, it's just, you tell a student, they just, they put a costume on an actor and they make that costume, or they put fabric on the actor and they make that costume, and they're like, okay, and then you're like, try it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I get confused. This last costume, I was like, I've never made overalls before. I can read a pattern, but this is going to be very difficult.
That's what you made?
And they're there's a whole scene in the show where there's this factory worker, and I wanted her to be different. All the other girls are in skirts or a dress or whatever, so I made this overall out of this kind of striped pattern because stripes were very common in the 1930s, 40s era. So I found a pattern and I bought the fabric and the interfacing and the buttons and everything. And I took measurements of the girl and made sure I had the right size of pattern and started going. I think it took me about 3 days of like 3 hours kind of spread out.
Right.
So
good for you. That's, you know, if you ever, and I don't know if you have this, I guess, you know, my crack research team kind of let me down, but if you ever have a website, that's got to be something that you put on there. I just told a student a couple days ago, well, I didn't say this part because my student doesn't need to know this, but I said, you know, I had a friend, she was my ex-girlfriend she was my like high school sweetheart, but RIP, but she now, yeah, I've moved on. It's been 21 years.
It's fine. No, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. But her career now is she makes wedding dresses and she does like 4 a year and makes really good money off of doing like 4 or 5 dresses a year. That's it. That's all she does.
On that note, I'm going to change my profession.
Exactly. But if you are an effective stitcher, sewer, cutter, draper, whatever you want to call it, I mean, you could do a lot of damage. Very, very few items. Now your portfolio doesn't grow if you're only doing 4 a year, and you know, 10 years later, you're like, look at these 24 dresses I've made, you know, whatever. So
all you've done. Well, you know, they went for like 25 grand, but sure.
Yeah, exactly. So
no, they're pretty successful.
These are custom, so whatever. So you teach junior high too. Were you teaching junior high before you came over to Needville? You were?
Yes, at Lexington. So my first job was at Lexington from 2017 to 2018, that school year. And I taught them interchangeably. So all of my classes were mixed, even with the high school. Like I didn't have a breakup of theater 1 through theater 4. They were just all in there. Yeah. Very challenging. Yeah. It made it very hard to lesson plan. Yeah. I tried my best. But then I had 6th through 8th grade all in like 3 sections of classes mixed. So I did that. And then when I went over to Lexington, Ingram, it was pretty much the same. They tried to separate the 1 and the 2s from the 3 and the 4s, which was way more helpful for lesson planning. And I also taught a college course through on-ramps at UT. I wore maroon the entire time at the convention.
Was it maroon? Was it marked maroon?
They were so mad at me. One of my coworkers, his name is Will. He teaches the computer science classes over at Ingram, and he would just look at me and roll his eyes. He's a Baylor Bear, so I don't know why he's rolling his eyes. But he would roll his eyes and be like, "Of course you did. Of course you packed all of your A&M long sleeves, short sleeves, crew necks, whatever, maroon everything." And I was like, I just have to represent. I just have to let people know. And I also look terrible in burnt orange. So we're not doing that.
It's not the most flattering color. Yeah.
But I did do that class, which was a computer, what was it called? It was Arts and Entertainment Technology. And it was basically just the different aspects of how technology kind of works in the media and in social interaction and stuff like that. So
fun. That sounds kind of interesting.
And then now I'm split. So now I jump from each campus. I've always been on the same campus for everyone. So I start off at the high school at Needville. And then I drive over before my lunch to the junior high, have lunch over there, and then teach 2 classes. And then I hop over to the middle school and I teach the 6th graders at the end of the day.
Wow.
And anybody who knows and teaches 6th graders knows at the end of the day is probably the worst to happen.
To have 6th graders? Yeah, my wife's a middle school teacher, but she hasn't expressed that yet, but I'm sure she would she would agree.
My kids come from PE every day. They're like, "Miss Kana, can we play dodgeball?" And I'm like, "No, we cannot play dodgeball. Gross. We have to learn about makeup today. Sit down."
You have stinky. Not only are they stinky before they go to gym, but now they're like super stinky.
We have definitely had the hygiene talk.
One of my closer friends from UH, Kelly Harkins, has been a middle school teacher for a long time, for 15 years, almost 15 years. And his rule number 1 is wear deodorant. It's always on his board. Like it's throughout the whole year on his board. So
maybe I need to make a new poster in
yeah,
Canva and print that out.
he's doing God's work by telling students to please keep good hygiene.
God bless him, honestly. Can he come to a TED Talk at my school? That would be great.
Right, right. Well,
This is my TED Talk. Wear deodorant. That's it. Thank you for going to my TED
and
Talk.
scene.
That's it.
Yeah. 10 million views on YouTube. So you, with the middle school thing though, do you expect, and I know you haven't been at Needville long enough for this to happen, obviously, but do you expect to see the same kid from six to senior, like all 6 years? Like, that's a possibility, huh?
I think so.
Yeah.
So the middle school class is only a semester long.
I got you.
So I have 36 weeks to teach them the basics of theater.
Wow.
So I try my best. And I have a couple that have already come up to me to say that they signed up for my production class because I said that if they took my class, then I would consider them for production. And there were several, mostly girls, some guys, but mostly girls, because we all know how it rolls, who have already come up to me after schedule changing from these past couple of weeks that said that they signed up for my production class. So I think so. And the kids that are currently in my production class, they also had their schedules built for the next 4 years, because that's how Needville rolls.
Right.
And there are several that have signed up for Curtis's production classes. So, I told Curtis, I said, I think it's about to be a good couple years for us now having someone, that had the same type of energy that you had last year over there. And I'm literally just going to send them to you. We're not really going to know what to do with ourselves, I don't think.
Right.
And so I think it's about to be a fun and competitive couple of years in one act play and even in our fall productions.
Right.
So
now I'm going to completely switch gears on you real fast, because you said you're from Sealy, right?
I am.
So, most people that aren't from Sealy only know Sealy because of what? Do you know?
Oh, Ricky Seals Jones I graduated with, and my dad was his football coach.
I was going with mattresses.
Oh, well, him too. I guess I'm younger. I'm sorry. No, yeah.
I was gonna, Okay, so wait, go back to what'd you say? Who?
Ricky Seals Jones. He's now in the NFL. He just played in the Super Bowl.
I got it. Okay.
For the Chiefs. He was with the Cardinals for a little while, and he was I think he's a wide receiver. Good Lord, I can't remember no more. But I think he's a wide receiver. He was a wide receiver for A&M for several years. So.
He spells it with an E. No, that's Ricky Henderson. Ricky Steals Jones?
Seals.
Oh, Seals.
Like a seal.
Oh, like Kiss from a Rose. Got it. Oh, there we go. Ricky Seals Jones. Yeah, no, I don't know him. But that's
sorry, younger generation.
And he's an Aggie. So
yes, he is.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna go with mattresses, but this was a nice little surprise here.
Sealy's a big football town. Eric Dickerson also came from Sealy.
Yeah, I knew Eric Dickerson. He's
a relative, I think, of Ricky. And then Ricky's not great grandfather. I think it was just his grandfather was also big football player. So we have all of their stuff like enshrined in the school.
I'm reading his Wikipedia, which I guess, anybody could have written some of this stuff, but yeah. Man, he's only 25. Yeah. Oh, his birthday. Wait, his birthday's today on the day we're recording.
He has the same birthday as my grandma's or grandparents.
That's really funny. Okay. Yeah. He's the cousin.
It is his birthday. So happy birthday, Ricky.
Yeah,
I don't even know if he's going to listen to this.
He's the cousin of Eric Dickerson. Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah.
So there you go. All right. Ricky Seals Jones. So good. Okay. But what about mattresses? What are they? Do they still make mattresses?
Every single time somebody from this area hears that I'm from Sealy, it's, well, did you know Ricky? And I'm like, yeah, we went to high school together. We were in several classes together. My dad was his football coach. And then they all freak out. And I'm like, he literally just had him in junior high. I think everybody needs to chill. So that's what everybody comes at me with. That is not a new question, but that was a new answer that you had.
Right. No, so Texas A&M football, speaking of Texas A&M football, you guys have, when I was teaching at Dulles High School, your Anais Smith, who is a wide receiver, was one of my students. So, right now that's my Ricky Seals
good.
story for you. But
Yeah.
yeah, so Nice, I love watching Nice on, last season he broke out, he busted out and became kind of a little bit of a star for you guys. But whatever. Do you still
It's
keep?
fine.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
worry about
he's good.
it.
Do you still keep up with like Aggie sports and all that stuff? Like, is that ingrained in you because of your dad? And yeah,
Yeah. So my dad's a big. So my dad coached everything, but his two big ones were basketball and baseball,
right.
which is why I think I love baseball so much. But I mean, it's an every weekend occurrence in the fall that we're texting each other. My mom will FaceTime me. Did you just see that play? Yes, I just saw that play. That flag was crap. Like, it's just, that call was stupid. Can't they see that wasn't a pass interference? It was a clean tackle. It's all over the place. But yeah, I keep up with that. I watch every single game of every single season, and I love watching the reruns of them.
Right.
I like to call myself a hybrid theater teacher because some theater teachers do not like sports, whatever. Like when I was at A&M, all my theater major friends were like, sports balls? No, I can't do that. No. I don't know what that is. And I'm like, just come to a game with me. Just come. And they're like, we didn't even buy sports passes. And I was like, 2%ers, get out of here. I don't know what you're doing with your life.
I hear that.
But, when sometimes we go and tailgate. We have friends that still tailgate that are also, they're my parents' age.
Yeah.
They're also A&M grads. So they bring a whole trailer down and flat screen TVs. And so if we don't go and watch the game in the stadium, we're sitting there eating, drinking, having fun, whatever, watching the game from out there. So
are students, are your students surprised when they find out you're a sports fan, like a sports junkie kind of thing?
My boys were.
Yeah.
My boys were
like you can talk
what?
shop. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I don't think that they've really had a theater teacher or an arts teacher that was like that.
Yeah.
So and even with like the style of music that I like, I'm a big Texas country fan.
Okay.
And I think that I owe that to going to Texas A&M because there's a dance hall called Harry's and Texas country artists come from around and they sing and you pay like $12 to see them. So I've seen Aaron Watson and Turnpike Troubadours and Cody Johnson, all the ones that are on the radios now for like $12.
Wow.
And multiple times. And it's fun, but they are shocked. I've really bonded with these two boys in my department now. We just talk about country. Did you hear? Parker McCollum's releasing a new album tomorrow. And I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta put it down on my phone. I didn't see that. And they're just very shocked. Yeah. They were very shocked when I taught them how to dance. When I was teaching the girls how to dance, they were like, what? And I was like, yeah. I have these in my closet. They do exist.
Yeah.
They're there. I just don't bring them out very often. Right. So they're very shocked. And one day we were doing a fundraiser, like a drive-through plate fundraiser with the people in town. And the boys came super early and they were all decked out in their maroon because it was game day. And so I threw up the game on the big TV screen that we have in our classroom. And we just sat there and watched it until people showed up to pick up their food.
Interesting.
So they were very shocked, but it's been a nice bonding experience for us. So
it's always fun to figure out what your students don't expect from you.
They don't expect me to be mean. That's one.
Yeah. I think that comes with experience though. Like I don't think my first year or two I was really like hard on the kids, and then as time went on and I realized if I don't build up this kind of callous to them, then they're going to step all over me. And so I think it just comes with you get desensitized to it.
I think my sixth graders changed after I told them that I was 25 because they thought I was a high school kid that came from the high school.
Oh, they thought you'd
and just taught the classes of the afternoon. And I was like, that's not how life works.
Yeah.
I said, no. I said, Miss Kana has a college degree and she's been teaching for 4 years. And they were like, oh, so you're above 20.
That's funny.
Like, yes. Yes, I am. So, but I look young. I know that I look young. I get carded everywhere. And they're like,
you'll win. Yeah, you'll win the, like at the end of the year, they always have those fun awards, like teacher most likely to be mistaken for a student kind of thing. Yeah, twice. So
3 times. Once happened at a convention. They were like, "Where's your sponsor?" I said, "I am the sponsor." No, I don't know how to make myself look older.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just start doing old age makeup
Right.
on my face and people know. I don't know. Yeah, no. But I think that you're right. I think it comes with experience. I don't think that I was too tough my first year because I was still finding my footing.
Right.
And then when I got to Ingram, I really had to put my foot down because it was the more, how do I say it? It was more of a Title I than Lexington was.
Right.
Just by the demeanor.
Yeah.
And Ingram had a past of like not being a place where anyone wanted to go, and now everybody kind of flocks to it because of the principal that they have over there. So he's really done a great job of turning everything around. But yeah, I really had to like buckle down.
Yeah. No, I hear that. Yeah. I definitely, my students, the first time that I really kind of yelled at my students, they started calling it Evan Jamesing, because this student who I can mention, he's 20, he's probably just a little younger than you now, but he was our star. He was our, I'm not in the theater, so I can say it. He was our Macbeth, and had everything handed to him, and I love the kid. I absolutely adore the kid, but I got so frustrated with him one day, and I finally I just snapped, and told him, I read him the riot act, and everybody was just in the room like, I didn't know minor, like, this is a totally different side of minor than we've ever seen. And from that day on, they called it Evan Jamesing, getting Evan Jamesed. It became.
I've only had that happen once, and I was a student, and it was Brad, and Brad knows because now we joke about it. But Brad had a rehearsal moment where he would just like stopped, and he looked around, and he was like, "I'm done," and walked out of the building, and we all just like sat there, and we're like, "What? What just happened?" Who pissed him off? Probably all of us, because it was super late. But and then he took all of his stuff, shut off his office doors and all the lights, and left the building. We were like, did he just leave through the back door? Is that what we just heard? We were very shocked, because anybody that knows Bradley News knows that he is a super like bubbly, kind-hearted person. But when you make him mad, it is not a good show.
It's that whole, it's more effective to let people know you're disappointed, the quiet disappointment. So
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, that hurts a lot. So I have to admit something, and then I'm going to get you out of here, probably on this maybe, but you just said your last name, and I gotta admit, I thought your last name was either Kana or Kana. I know you're rolling your eyes. I get it.
I know. That every single time.
Yeah, shame on me. But there's
there was no tilde above it.
There you go.
Hispanic.
Okay.
I don't know how
but where does your last name come from?
My dad's side of the family is German. So I don't know how that got misconstrued, because it doesn't sound German.
Did they come over during the war, German, or like, do you?
No, God, no.
Because like my last in this family. Yeah, well, but my last, because I'm a German Jew, and so my last name is not Minor. Like I'm only a second generation Minor, because when my grandparents came over, they couldn't find Meininger, the German version of it, in this like book of last names or whatever, and so they came to Ellis Island, and they just chose the name that was closest to Meininger. And it was
I think ours was a little prior to all of that.
Okay.
I've not ever dug deep into my family history. I think I did kind of sort of touch the surface, like for a college class or something. But but the other side of my family are Czech and German, and my grandma, or my babička, is Czech. So her last name was Mikl, M-I-G-L. And then my grandpa's was Stansel. That's more of the German name than the other ones that I have. But yeah. German and Czech. So I think the Czech part of me comes out way more than the German does.
So it's you said Kanya?
Kanya.
Oh, okay.
I always tell the kids it's like Kanye, but with an at the end, although I hate him. I'm like, but don't bring it up. Just say Kanya.
You're like the Guy Fieri of theater teachers, because everybody thinks it's Guy Fieri. And it's
exactly.
Fieri. Yeah. That's cool.
I wish I had his job. That'd be great.
Well, you could do his hair. Anyway.
True. You know what? If he wanted victory curls, I've been doing those all for the past month or so.
All right. Well, I want to get you out of here on this. I want to know, because you've and this is not a knock what I'm about to say, because I did the same thing, and so I don't want it to be taken negatively. But you have gone now in a short amount of time. You've gone to 3 schools, and you said on the record, and I'm glad you said it, that you're hoping that trend kind of stops, takes a halt for a little bit. But going from 3 schools, what has been the most challenging, and then what has been the most rewarding part of leaving and entering? Does that make sense? So
Yes.
give me, and you can take time to think about it. If you don't have an answer, I can always edit that part out and make you sound like super cool.
Yeah.
But
no, I don't. I got a thought. My first school, I don't know if it was because the energy just was not matched, or my second guessing started to come in around the second semester, but I didn't particularly leave that school on a good note with myself. I think that I made a lot of mistakes. I think that others did too, and so when that kind of collides, it was hard to find my footing. I did not feel super wanted. I did not feel like I belonged in that community, and that's fine. I don't harp on them for anything. I'm still friends with several people from that district, and I keep up with all of them, but I just knew that it wasn't the place for me. So I went ahead and put in my resignation, and I thanked them for all that they had taught me, and kind of moved on quietly. And then I almost didn't go to interviews after that. I almost did not continue my teaching path because I thought maybe it wasn't me, and I was not meant to be a teacher, and I am the most terrible human being, on the planet, and I shouldn't be teaching kids. And it was a whole moment. And so when I went over to Ingram, I was still kind of PTSD about certain things. A lot of my admin from my former district had been very vague, and I felt like I got in trouble a lot, and nobody ever told me what I was doing good. Because I know in my heart that I did do a lot of good things over there, but when I got to Ingram, I got an email from my principal, my new principal, Crittenden, and he said, "Come see me in my office." And I was like, the first couple of days of in-service, I was like, what did I do wrong already? And I went in, and I guess he saw the look on my face, and he was like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I'm not in trouble." And he was like, "No, why would you be in trouble? You just got here." And I was like, "I don't know." And so then I had to explain to him, and they turned out to be the thing. Those admin, I'll name drop Justin Crittenden and Karen Rose, ended up being the admin that I wish everybody had. And so I learned that, and my dad kind of helped me, from his teaching career. He said, sometimes it's just not your place, and sometimes it's okay to go. It's okay. It happens. And I think that it's important that you felt that, and you learned from it, and you learned from your mistakes, and you didn't carry them on into your next school district. But they and the entire Ingram team as a whole made me love teaching again, because they helped me understand that it was not entirely my fault what had happened prior, and it doesn't happen everywhere. So that's what I learned from that job jump. And then I learned from this last job jump that sometimes it's okay to leave the kids behind. I have a really hard time with that. And I still talk to all my Ingram kids, like they've been competing for the past couple of weeks like we have. And so they'll send me pictures and texts, and we have a whole group text going on with the officers before I had left, so it never really went away. And I had to learn that they're going to be okay, because I was very worried that they wouldn't. And I was worried that if I left them, then it would all just go down the chute, and I couldn't do anything to help them. But that obviously did not end up being the case, and I am a worrywart. But I had to learn to put myself before my job.
Yeah.
That's that's what I've learned from jumping schools. It's very difficult, and I loved all my kids. I still do. I talked to several of them. Some are at COM that just got was an Irene Ryan finalist, and I'm so proud of him. And I have another one that's over at Texas State, and I have two at Texas State, and one that helps me with my speech and debate stuff and helps judge and stuff like that. So they're all spread out, but I keep in contact. And but I learned a lot from just 4 years, or 3 really. 4 would be at the end of this one, but I learned some good life lessons, but those are the 2 big ones.
Good.
To put myself prior, and sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Minor wisdom.